Well, I was diagnosed with a hernia about 2 months ago by my regular physician. He suggested I use a local surgeon who uses mesh repair. Well, I've been a biomedical engineer for 27 years. I worked with the FDA. I have registered many medical products. I've worked on operating theater equipment, so I knew what the operating theater was all about. When you're dealing with mesh surgery, I knew nothing 3 months ago. Nothing about hernias, nothing about mesh. And the first 3 friends I talked to had a 50% failure rate, one having to go through 5 surgeries, one going through 2 surgeries. That leads to a complication because once a mesh fails, it has to be peeled out of your nerves and skin. Failure can be an intense pain that just never goes away. It can last for years if you don't do anything about it. Knowing full well I couldn't begin to afford 5 surgeries and, of course, the pain that would be required. Meshes, when they first started out, had a coarser pattern, and therefore they would rub the nerves raw and do much damage. Meshes today are a little bit finer, but they still depend upon stuffing the mesh into the hernia opening, that hole that's formed. And if a person has different activity levels or different levels of backing, the mesh can sort of bunch up, and then there's no other way but surgical repair again to get the mesh out, and that can be very stressful. I discovered in my research that the MDR reports, which are medical device reports to the FDA, from doctors and patients, were blocked for several years because the mesh manufacturers somehow pressured an FDA officer to not record them. And now there is a society in the USA called the Meshnoma Society to bring to the public the knowledge that mesh has caused quite a bit of harm. And most of the surgeons using it are doing so simply because they've been misinformed. They've been misinformed mostly for profit. The mesh companies want to sell a high-priced product. And therefore, as a result, I was looking for meshless surgery repair, and there are several doctors all around the USA and Toronto